Welcome back. We're asking you again, please support our ridiculous endeavors as we get into part 4 of the one-page rules explanation and overview. It's going to be a good time. Let's dig in. Alright, shooting. We're getting into shooting today, we're getting into melee today, we're getting into morale today. And first thing we're going to look at is shooting. So, how does this work? When you moved your guys, you moved them, either you're held and didn't move them at all, or you moved them up to 6 inches and no more. And now you're allowed to shoot. So you look at your weapon profile, you'll figure out what your range is. Say we've got 24 inches, we're referencing that heavy rifle again. Take a look at a little picture here, you can see one of the guys, he actually can't see the other one. Our little battle brother on the left cannot see our little orky friend on the right. Whatever that big hunk of whatever that is in his way, so he cannot draw a line of sight, he cannot shoot. 3 of them have clear sight and are within range. 1 of them is outside of range. So what this means is during the Battle Brother's turn, 3 shots will get fired from the Battle Brother 2, 3, and 4 right there in the middle. Once you have identified who is going to shoot, you're going to fire at the same target with all of them. Now, if you have more than one type of weapon in your group, you may have them fire at 2 different targets. All weapons of the same type must fire at the same target. This really helps just kind of reduce the shenanigans. And again, we're trying to reduce shenanigans here. So what happens? Determine your attack, you roll a hit. Boom, roll your 6-sided dice. What did you get? Does it meet your quality or exceed it? Bam, you hit. Is it less than your quality? Shit out of luck, you missed. Once you've made a successful hit, your opponent gets to roll block. They roll d6. If it meets or exceeds their defense, they're good. If it's less than their defense, they're shit out of luck for taking a wound. Now, there's lots of special rules to modify this, and like we mentioned, AP makes this defense save harder. Cover can make the to hit harder, but the core is roll to hit, roll to defend, remove the casualties. Easy, 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 easy. It really is a beautiful system. So we can see here our little Battle Brother guys, they shot. It looks like 1 missed, 1 blocked, and 1 died. So what that means is that when they rolled a hit, the first Battle Brother that was able to roll missed. He did not meet his quality of 3. The second Battle Brother hit, but the little orky friend there managed to block it, so he's fine. And our third friend managed to hit, successfully hit, and kill one of the models belonging to the orc player. The orc gets to decide which model is taken out, and they take that model out. Easy peasy. Doesn't matter where they take the model from, but they have to maintain coherency. So as a orc player, it's up to you where you're going to take your model from, but you have to remember, it has to be within 1 inch of another model and 9 inches of every model. So sometimes you get a lot of choice of where you're going to take the casualty from, sometimes you don't. Moving on. Alright, melee. Wait, hold on. No, fix that. Alright, that's better. Alright, so melee. What are we going to do? First, you pick a target for your unit to charge. Now remember, charge is moving anywhere between 1 and 12 inches. You have to get closer than an inch. Now, getting base to base is ideal. You have to be under that inch mark. So you have to basically be touching. Once you get them into that mark, that's the next thing will happen is the unit being charged will get to move up to 3 inches to get everything closer and more able to attack. Why do you want your units closer? Because your units have 2 inches of space from where the models are touching in order to be able to strike. So what that means is if you've got your models, as you see here in this example, and model 1 and 2 touch and base, model 3 within 2 inches, model 4 and 5 they're more than 2 inches out of the front base of the closest model. They don't get to do anything. They get to stand there and watch. You don't want that. So you always want to try and maneuver yourself in such a way that you get as many units as you can from as many models within the unit as you can within that 2-inch mark. Now, the same rule applies to the defenders. The defenders got 3 inches to get everybody in close so that more units can strike. If your unit cannot strike, it can still be struck. So there is no benefit to trying to get somebody out of this combat. It's coming. Everybody needs to be involved. So you determine how many attackers you have, how many attacks you have. Roll those dice at once. You don't want to be the person who rolls 1 dice at a time for the same kind of attack against the same unit. Don't be that person. You got you got 3 guys here. They're all attacking with close combat weapons. Roll 3 dice. Or 6 dice if they've got 2 attacks each, whatever the situation is for your particular combat. Now, if you do have other types of weapons, you do have to separate those out. Things that have special effects need to be rolled by themselves because they need to be saved by themselves. They do different things. Easy enough. Roll to hit. Hit that quality, either equal or above, you're successful. Less than that quality, you failed. You're done. If you roll to block to defend, you hit that defense or above, you're successful. You ignore the wound. Less than that, you take a wound. Once you have completed the sequencing of attacks, remove all the casualties that has been suffered, and return. Now, this is a little different than shooting because obviously you're not just going to stand there and let them hit you with sticks. You're going to try and fight back. So this means the defender now gets a chance to attack. Now, they've lost any casualties that they've lost, and I'm sorry, that's just your luck. But they do at least get to hit back now. They roll the same way. Roll to hit, roll to block, remove casualties. Once you've done all of this for both sides, now we got to determine who won. So, we're going to get into that a little more in the morale phase, so I'm going to hold that for a few minutes. We'll get to that next. The last thing you really need to know about melee that is kind of different about this system, but it's ingenious in the same time. If you as the defender choose to strike back, and it is a choice, then you will become fatigued, which means if you strike again in close combat at any point during this round, remember that's every unit being activated before a new round starts, then you can only hit on unmodified rolls of 6, which means you can't add anything to them to get them to 6. You can re-roll them, but you can't add anything to them. Sometimes it's not worth hitting back because you want your unit to hit something bigger. Now, once you've determined everybody's attacked, you've figured out how many wounds you've caused, how many wounds they've caused, and somebody did at least cause a wound, you go to the morale phase. We're going to get into that here in just a second. Hey, just a second. It's a transition. My God. All right, cool, fine. So now you've resolved the melee, you've figured out who won. Now we're going to do morale. So if you are in melee and you caused more wounds than you took after special rules affect it, then you do not have to take a morale test, but your enemy does. There has to be at least a wound caused in order to do this, and you add up all of the wounds that they caused versus all of the wounds that you caused. It's entirely possible for you to end up having to take a morale test for a combat in which you cause more casualties if they cause more wounds. It's rare, but it is a thing that happens. If you take that morale test, you're going to roll your dice, you're going to either meet or exceed the quality roll of that unit. If you're successful, nothing happens. If you fail, you become shaken. Now, shaken means that unit cannot do anything with their next activation except activate, and then they spend their entire turn doing nothing, which ends the shaken. Now, why would you want to activate them after that? Wouldn't you just want to ignore them? Well, what's important to know here is if you take a casualty after you have been shaken, you will run away. Now, morale check successful, nothing happens. This next part's critical and makes a huge difference, so I'm gonna make it as easy as I can, but I need you to re-listen to this part if you have to. You have to get this part right. If the unit is at less than half of its starting size, meaning if the unit started the game with 10 models and it's now at 5 or less, then instead of being shaken, which we'll get to in a second, you become routed. Now, routed is a very nice way of saying that entire unit has been removed as a casualty. So routed is bad, we don't want to rout. Shaken means that unit can now do nothing except activate and remove the shaking condition, which allows it to be activated in the future. Now, they count as being fatigued, so they're only hitting on 6s in close combat, and they automatically fail morale tests. Which means if you keep shooting them, they will keep failing. This also means that once they hit that halfway threshold, they will automatically be